The first shot wasn't fired by the aliens, it was us. Lieutenant Kael Draven didn't even flinch. Not when the entire eastern corridor of the space station erupted in a cascade of fire and shrapnel. Not when his squad screamed in panic, their faces twisted with terror. The cold metallic walls of Station Helios shuddered as plasma rounds tore through reinforced bulkheads, a sound that could have shattered eardrums and sanity alike. Kael had been here before. War had a scent, a metallic tang mixed with ozone and fear. But this was different. The human colonies had been under siege for decades, but something in the aliens' tactics was new. More precise. Calculated. Predictable only in its brutality. He ducked behind a scorched console as a volley of red tracer beams ripped past his helmet. The soldiers next to him didn't move fast enough. Two fell, screaming in a way Kael could never forget. He gritted his teeth. No time to mourn, not yet. The battle had just begun. "Draven! Orders!" shouted Sergeant Vera, her voice cutting through the chaos. She was tall, wiry, with eyes that had seen too many friends die and still burned with determination. "We hold the northern wing, or the entire station goes down!" Kael's jaw tightened. He surveyed the corridor. Alien silhouettes, far taller than humans, moved with eerie coordination. Their armor glinted like black obsidian in the emergency lights, and their clawed hands gripped weapons that pulsed with alien energy. One glance told Kael everything. This was no ordinary assault. The aliens were hunting. They weren't just killing, they were testing humans. "Hold position," Kael barked, his voice rough from exhaustion and anger. "Cover me. I'm going to the control node." Without waiting for answers, he sprinted down the corridor, boots pounding against the scorched floor. Sparks danced from ruptured cables overhead, sizzling as they fell. Plasma beams singed the walls, leaving molten scars that glowed in the dim light. Kael's heart pounded, not from fear, but from the rush, the need to survive, to fight back, to prove that humanity was not dead yet. He reached the control node, a cylindrical hub flickering with damaged hollow screens and sparking wires. The terminals were fried, but not completely. Kael slammed his hand onto the console, overriding emergency protocols. Come on, he muttered under his breath. Outside the reinforced viewport, the station's orbital defenses sputtered. Alien ships, sleek and black as midnight, darted like predators. The sky above Earth was no longer blue, it was scarred with fire, smoke, and laser trails. Cities burned like lanterns, screaming humanity's vulnerability to the void. And yet Kael's mind stayed sharp. He saw the pattern in the alien movements, their swarm tactics, the way they encircled the station. They had underestimated him. They always underestimated humans. A sudden flash in the corner of his eye made Kael spin. A small alien drone, barely the size of a human torso, skittered along the ceiling, scanning for life signs. Without hesitation, Kael fired his plasma sidearm. The drone exploded in a burst of sparks and acid fumes. Behind him, Vera and the remaining squad moved into position, taking cover and returning fire. Kael felt a spark of pride. They were beaten, battered, but they were still human. "Lieutenant, you're insane!" Vera shouted, ducking as a plasma beam scorched the wall near her head. "That's suicide!" Kael smirked grimly, not turning. "Not suicide. Strategy. The moment they think we're cornered, that's when they get sloppy." He tapped a series of commands into the node. The station shuddered violently as the emergency thrusters engaged, repositioning Helios into a tighter orbit, cutting off the aliens' flight path. And then it happened. The first human shot, fired blindly into chaos, hit a resonance point in the station's core. The energy reverberated outward, a shockwave that rattled the hull and sent alien ships spinning out of control. A scream echoed across the station, not from humans, but from the invaders. They had not anticipated resistance this clever, this vicious, this human. Kael's grin was sharp, wild. "See? Terrified already." But the moment of triumph was short-lived. From the shadows, a new horror emerged, a hulking alien commander, taller than any Kael had ever seen, its armor engraved with alien runes that pulsed with energy. It was laughing, a sound like grinding metal and tearing flesh, and it spoke in a guttural, vibrating tongue. Kael froze, recognition dawning. This was not just an invader. This was the one the colonists had whispered about in fear, the one responsible for entire systems' annihilation. Its eyes, glowing amber through the helmet, locked onto Kael. "You think you can play with predators, human?" The alien's voice, translated by Kael's helmet, was a knife slicing through resolve. "You are nothing. You cannot survive." Kael's heart raced, but he did not flinch. Instead, he raised his sidearm, aiming directly at the alien's chest plate. "We didn't ask for this war," he shouted over the din. "But we'll finish it on our terms." The alien commander's laugh deepened. Then it moved, impossibly fast, closing the distance between them. Kael fired, plasma bolts cracking through the air. The alien deflected them with ease, its claws slicing through a bulkhead as if it were paper. Sparks flew. Walls collapsed. Soldiers screamed. Kael ducked, rolling behind a console, his mind racing. Every strategy he knew, every tactic learned from decades of conflict, was being tested. And yet, even as fear gripped the pit of his stomach, a surge of exhilaration flowed through him. Because he knew this, humanity had survived worse. And if they could endure, adapt, and fight back, maybe, just maybe, they could turn the tide. But then the alien commander's hand slammed down on the console behind Kael, sending him sprawling, sparks and smoke clouding the corridor. Vera screamed. The rest of the squad froze, paralyzed by the sheer presence of the monstrosity. Kael scrambled to his feet, eyes locked on the alien. And in that moment, he realized, this was only the beginning. The station groaned, the hull shivering under the strain of alien assault. Outside, Helios orbited a burning world. Inside, humanity's courage teetered on the edge of annihilation. And Kael, bleeding, bruised, yet unbroken, smiled. "Let them come," he whispered. "We're not finished yet." The hum of the emergency lights did little to calm the tension aboard Helios. The corridors were littered with debris, sparks showering intermittently from shattered conduits. Kael Draven moved like a predator in the wreckage, his boots crunching over shards of metal, scanning every shadow. The alien commander's amber gaze still haunted him. Every step he took, he felt that gaze pressing down, a weight heavier than gravity. "Lieutenant," Vera's voice came through the calm, shaky but firm. "We've got survivors in the hangar. They need extraction." Kael paused, hand resting on the scorched bulkhead. "Hangar? They'll be sitting ducks. We need a plan first." "No time," Vera snapped. "They're human, Kael. And they're scared. If we don't move, they die." Kael's jaw tightened. Humans had a way of turning fear into something deadly, but only if led properly. He took a breath, weighing risk versus necessity. He had never been known for hesitation. "All right," he said. "We move. But we stay tight, and we keep the drones off our backs." The hangar was chaos. Smoke swirled thick enough to taste. Fires licked the edges of half-destroyed cargo containers. Human refugees huddled in corners, some crying, others gripping makeshift weapons, their eyes wide with terror. Alien patrols had moved on, leaving pockets of destruction in their wake. Kael's squad fanned out, forming a protective perimeter. "Stay low," Kael hissed, grabbing a young soldier by the shoulder. "Keep moving." A sudden flash of light caught Kael's attention. Through a jagged opening in the hangar wall, he glimpsed a fleet of alien skimmers assembling outside. But they weren't attacking yet. They were observing. Calculating. "Something's off," Kael muttered, scanning the battlefield. He crouched behind a scorched crate, feeling the vibrations of approaching engines. "They're waiting for a signal, or baiting us." Vera's voice came again, urgent. "What do we do?" Kael clenched his fists. "We improvise. We take the initiative." He led the survivors through a narrow maintenance shaft, their movements silent and precise. Kael's mind raced. The alien commander wasn't just hunting humans, he was studying them. Learning. Predicting. And if Kael had learned anything from decades of war, it was this: predictability was humanity's greatest enemy. At the far end of the shaft, Kael pressed a series of manual overrides. A hidden bulkhead slid open, revealing an uncharted section of Helios, a research bay that had been off-limits to everyone but senior officers. "What is this place?" Vera whispered, scanning the room. Kael didn't answer immediately. He activated the bay's internal systems. Holographic displays flickered to life, revealing schematics of alien technology, genetic analysis logs, and something more unsettling, a map of human colonies, marked with strike zones and casualties. Kael's teeth ground. They'd been planning this for years. Every attack, every system collapse, it's all mapped. A soldier stepped closer. "Lieutenant, what does it mean?" "It means," Kael said, voice low but firm, "we've been playing checkers while they've been playing chess." Among the files, Kael found a pattern, an energy signature that matched the alien commander's armor, pulsing in sync with the alien fleet outside. But more importantly, it contained data on human adaptation, our capacity for resistance, for survival, even for offense. The aliens weren't just attacking, they were learning how to kill more efficiently. Kael swallowed. "If we can reverse engineer this, we might have a chance. Not just to survive, but to fight back on our terms." Vera's eyes widened. "You're saying we can turn their own research against them?" Kael nodded. "Exactly. But it's risky. One misstep, and they'll annihilate Helios, and everyone on it." A sudden vibration shook the bay. Kael tensed. "They found us. Move." The squad navigated through the research bay's labyrinthine corridors, Kael leading with a calculated balance of aggression and caution. Every corner, every doorway held the potential for ambush. And then they found it, the alien commander's personal drone, a hovering specter of black metal and glowing red optics, monitoring the bay. Kael raised his plasma rifle. "Target acquired. On my mark." He fired, hitting the drone squarely. It disintegrated in a shower of sparks and acid fumes, but not before sending a pulse through the station. Lights flickered, alarms blared. The alien commander had known exactly where they were all along. "Trap," Kael hissed, turning to his squad. "They've been tracking us from the start." From the shadows, a human figure emerged, a shadow Kael hadn't anticipated. She was a former intelligence officer, presumed dead, her uniform scorched but intact. Her eyes burned with knowledge and secrets. "Kael," she said, voice steady. "We don't have time. The alien commander, he's using Helios to test a new weapon. If we don't stop it, the colonies outside, every human settlement, will be erased." Kael's heart pounded. "Then we hit the core. Full manual override. Vera, gather the others. We move now." They raced through the station, corridors twisting and turning, lights flickering under the strain of alien bombardment. Every step was a gamble. Every breath a defiance. And then, at the core, Kael faced the alien commander again, waiting, his amber eyes blazing with contempt. "You persist," the commander said, voice resonating through the chamber. "Do you think humanity deserves survival? I have already calculated your failure." Kael raised his rifle, adrenaline surging. "We don't calculate. We fight. And we adapt. That's what makes us human." The commander laughed, a sound like grinding gears tearing through silence. "Then show me your humanity, Draven. Show me why it is not already extinct." Kael pressed the manual override. Energy coursed through the station, systems realigning, shields flaring. The alien fleet outside Helios faltered, momentarily disoriented. A chance, a narrow window, but enough to ignite hope. Vera shouted over the alarms. "Lieutenant, it's working!" Kael's fists clenched. "It's not over. Not yet. We're just getting started." And as the station shuddered, teetering between destruction and salvation, Kael realized the war had shifted. Humanity was no longer merely surviving, they were fighting back. But in the flicker of the alien commander's amber eyes, Kael saw one thing clearly: this was far from the end. and the true test of humanity's resilience was still to come. Kael Draven's boots pounded against the reinforced metal of Helios' central deck. Sparks flew from ruptured conduits overhead, hissing into the air like serpents, and the acrid smell of ozone burned his lungs. Outside the observation window, the alien fleet swarmed in a deadly spiral, ships bristling with energy cannons, moving with precision that made Kael's jaw tighten. "Kael!" Vera shouted, her voice cracking over the comms. "The energy pulse is unstable. If we don't stabilize the core, Helios collapses. We all die." Kael didn't respond immediately. His mind was calculating trajectories, predicting enemy maneuvers. The aliens had adapted faster than he'd anticipated. Every tactic they had used yesterday was anticipated today. But Kael wasn't just any human, he was the one who refused to be predicted. He reached the core chamber. The room was a cathedral of technology, walls lined with conduits pulsing with blue energy, the central reactor humming like a living heart. And there, standing among the cables, was the alien commander. His armor gleamed, reflecting the chaos outside, and his amber eyes fixed on Kael with disdain. "You've come far," the commander said, voice smooth, deadly. "But you're too late. Every move you made was already considered. Humanity will end here." Kael's hands tightened around his rifle. "You calculate death, we create it. That's what makes us human." The first wave hit before the words fully left his mouth. Alien drones crashed through the deck, metal shrieking as plasma bolts cut through the air. Kael fired, precise, controlled, his rifle a tool of survival rather than destruction. Vera flanked him, her weapons blazing, cutting down drones with a skill that mirrored Kael's own. "Move to the core!" Kael barked. "Now!" The alien commander raised his arm, a pulse cannon forming, its energy growing, resonating with the reactor's hum. Kael realized instantly, the weapon wasn't just destructive, it was a synchronizer, designed to destabilize Helios' core and wipe out the station in seconds. "Vera!" Kael shouted. "We have to sever the link! Focus on the conduits feeding his cannon. I'll handle him." Vera's fingers danced across the control panel, rerouting power, sparks flying as she disconnected key nodes. The hum of the core shifted, fluctuating dangerously. Alarms blared, shaking the chamber. Kael advanced on the commander. Every step was calculated, every breath measured. The aliens' movements were swift, almost liquid in their precision. Plasma blasts cracked around Kael, scorching the floor, the walls, and sometimes his armor. Each hit chipped away at the station's integrity, but Kael pressed on. "You're persistent," the commander said, sidestepping a strike. "But persistence won't save your species." Kael lunged, slamming a heavy boot against the alien's chest plate. Sparks erupted. The commander staggered but recovered instantly. They clashed, a brutal dance of fists, blades, and raw strength. Every strike from Kael carried the weight of humanity's desperation. Every dodge from the commander spoke of calculated superiority. Meanwhile, Vera's work was reaching a critical point. "Almost there!" she shouted, sweat streaming down her face. "Just a few more seconds!" The alien commander roared, unleashing a pulse wave that sent Kael flying across the chamber. He slammed into the reactor housing, scraping his side along the scorched metal. Pain shot through him, but he forced himself to rise. Humanity couldn't wait for him to heal. "Why do you fight?" the commander hissed, advancing, his pulse cannon humming, ready to fire. Kael's eyes burned with fury. "Because we're alive. Because we refuse to die quietly. Because humanity isn't just numbers, you'll never understand what we carry inside." He surged forward again, dodging a plasma blast, tackling the commander toward the edge of the reactor platform. Sparks showered them as metal groaned under the strain. Kael slammed the commander against the control panel, shattering it. The pulse cannon sputtered, its energy destabilizing. "Now, Vera!" Kael screamed. Vera hit the final sequence. The conduits feeding the pulse cannon overloaded. Energy arcs lanced into the air, screaming in violent arcs, the room shaking like a living entity. The alien commander roared in fury as his weapon backfired, flames and electricity cascading over him. Kael watched, breathing hard, as the tide shifted. Outside, the alien fleet faltered, disoriented by the sudden energy backlash from Helios' core. Human strike teams seized the opportunity, charging with renewed vigor, taking down alien ships with ruthless efficiency. Kael turned back to the chamber. The alien commander staggered, charred, and vulnerable. He raised his rifle, aiming at the alien's heart. But then, a flash, an energy surge from the core's unstable reactor, threw both combatants to the floor. "Kael!" Vera screamed. "The core, it's going critical!" Kael's mind raced. He had seconds. Seconds to finish the fight and stabilize the station. He rolled, grabbed the alien by the shoulder, and shoved him toward the containment vent. Sparks exploded, flames licking their armor, the heat unbearable. Kael slammed a restraining charge to the vent. The commander was trapped, writhing, his pulse cannon useless. Kael sprinted back to the reactor console. Vera was already there, guiding the energy flow. The reactor hissed, glowing dangerously, threatening to tear the station apart. Kael's fingers flew over the interface, rerouting channels, isolating feedback loops. Every sequence had to be perfect. One misstep, and the entire station would become a tomb. Almost. Vera muttered, teeth clenched. Kael's hand hovered over the final override. He knew what this meant. Sacrificing a part of Helios would save the rest, and humanity's hope. He pressed. The core stabilized. Energy arcs settled into controlled streams. The hum turned from chaos to rhythm. The station shuddered once, violently, and then held. Kael collapsed to his knees, gasping. Vera slumped beside him, covered in soot but alive. Outside the observation window, the alien fleet retreated, confused, demoralized. Humanity had won the first real victory, but at a cost that Kael already felt deep in his bones. The alien commander's roar echoed faintly through the vent system, a promise that the war was far from over. Kael closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of survival. Every life saved, every victory, came with a shadow of loss. But for the first time in years, Kael allowed himself something dangerous: hope. "Kael," Vera said softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We did it." Kael nodded, voice hoarse but determined. "For now. But they'll be back. And next time, it won't be just the station. They'll aim for everything we love." He looked out at the stars beyond the shattered observation window. Humanity's fight wasn't over. It had only just begun. And in that moment, Kael realized that the turning point wasn't just about defeating an enemy. It was about showing the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. Unyielding. Relentless. Unpredictable. The first battle had been won. But the war would define them all. The station trembled under the strain of battle, alarms screaming like dying beasts. Kael Draven's boots pounded against the corridor floors, each step measured, deliberate, carrying the weight of every life that depended on him. Helios had survived the first wave, but the alien commander had not disappeared entirely. His presence lingered, like a shadow over the entire operation. "Kael," Vera's voice crackled over the comms, tense and precise. "Sensor arrays detect a secondary strike fleet. They're converging on our location. We don't have much time." Kael gritted his teeth, eyes scanning the holographic map projected from the station's command hub. The alien fleet was larger than anticipated. Each ship was bristling with weapons far beyond human design. Every second of delay increased the probability of annihilation. "They'll break through if we fight conventionally," Kael muttered. "We need a tactic they can't predict." Vera's eyes met his, unspoken understanding passing between them. "The experimental drone swarm?" Kael nodded. "It's untested in combat. If it fails, we lose everything. But if it works, we might turn the tide." The drone hangar was chaos. Engineers scrambled, welding sparks flying, as the experimental drones activated. Sleek, black, angular constructs, autonomous, programmed with Kael's strategy down to the most intricate microsecond. Their AI systems interface directly with Helios' mainframe, creating a digital battlefield within the physical one. Kael surveyed the drones as they lifted off. "Remember," he said, voice low, "they follow the human mind, not alien logic. Think fast, act faster." The secondary fleet hit moments later. Alien ships tore through space with precision strikes, energy beams ripping chunks out of Helios' outer hull. The drones responded instantly, weaving through fire like ghosts, hacking into alien targeting systems, misdirecting their weapons, and opening gaps for human strike teams. Kael led the boarding squad himself. The alien commander's flagship loomed ahead, a massive, dark monolith, its engines roaring like a living beast. Kael's pulse raced, a mixture of fear, adrenaline, and determination. The ship's airlock hissed open. The team entered, moving silently through corridors bathed in dim red light. The stench of alien machinery, burned circuits, recycled air, and something almost organic, filled their nostrils. Kael's rifle was raised, senses sharpened. Every step could be their last. Then he saw him. The alien commander, alive but weakened, standing atop a raised platform, pulse cannon still intact, though sparking violently. His amber eyes locked onto Kael. "You survive again," the commander hissed. "Impressive, but ultimately meaningless. Humanity is a fleeting spark in an eternal darkness." Kael advanced. "We're more than survival. We fight because we have to. Because we refuse to bow. And today, you'll see what that means." They clashed, once more, a brutal, visceral dance of human fury against alien precision. Sparks and plasma arced across the platform as fists collided, armor splintered, and the hum of the pulse cannon threatened to tear the room apart. Each strike Kael delivered was fueled by memory, fallen comrades, stolen moments of peace, the faces of every human counting on him. The alien commander's attacks were relentless, each blow calculating, predicting Kael's every move. But Kael adapted, relying on instincts honed through years of war. He feinted, dodged, countered, forcing the alien to overcommit. Vera's voice cut through the chaos. "Kael, the reactor's unstable. It's a chain reaction, we can't contain it." Kael's eyes widened. The station itself was a weapon, and if it detonated, every nearby fleet, friend or foe, would be obliterated. He realized then that the final battle wasn't against the commander, it was against time. "Vera, override the secondary conduits," Kael barked. "Divert all energy to the containment nodes. I'll hold him off." Vera hesitated. "Kael, that's suicide." Kael smirked grimly. "Then consider it a tactical necessity." He charged the alien commander, drawing fire, weaving through plasma blasts that would have disintegrated lesser beings. Every hit he absorbed weakened him, but Kael pressed forward, human resilience against alien perfection. He slammed the commander against the support strut, shattering part of his armor. Sparks and smoke filled the chamber, and the pulse cannon sputtered, losing coherence. "Now, Vera!" Kael shouted, teeth clenched, sweat streaking his soot-covered face. Vera activated the override. Energy surged through the containment nodes, stabilizing the reactor. The station groaned, metal warping, alarms peaking and then falling silent. The alien commander screamed, restrained by the surge, his armor cracking under the immense energy feedback. Kael delivered the final strike, a precise, calculated blow that shattered the alien's weapon arm and sent him sprawling into the containment shaft. The commander's roar echoed, fading into nothingness as systems stabilized. Helios was saved. But the cost was immediate. The experimental drones, overloaded from the power surge, exploded, taking the station's drone hangar with them. Kael's squad survived, but not without injuries. Vera collapsed against the console, breathing hard. Kael knelt beside her, checking wounds, heart hammering with both relief and dread. The observation window revealed a retreating alien fleet. Humanity had won, but the galaxy was still a battlefield. Kael looked out at the stars, the enormity of survival washing over him. They had defied extinction, but the war was far from over. Then, a calm signal cut through static. It was unexpected, alien in tone, distorted yet intelligible. "Humans," the voice rasped. "You may have won Helios, but the war is far from over. We know now how to fight you." Kael's grip on his rifle tightened. A sense of foreboding pressed on him. Victory was theirs, but the stakes had just risen higher. Vera spoke softly. "Kael, they know more. They'll adapt." Kael nodded. "And so will we. Humanity isn't defined by the battles we win, it's defined by how we rise after every loss. Every moment, every choice, that's what makes us unstoppable." He stood, taking a deep breath, eyes narrowing on the distant stars. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had made its first mark. A final twist struck Kael as he scanned the aftermath. Deep within the alien commander's wreckage, a hidden data shard blinked. It contained coordinates, intelligence, and something more, a signal of an unknown origin, something that could change everything. Kael felt a chill. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. He turned to Vera. "Prepare the team. Whatever comes next, we face it together. And this time, we dictate the terms." The chapter closed with Kael standing tall amidst the devastation, Helios intact but scarred, humanity victorious yet aware that the war had only just begun. The galaxy trembled at their defiance, and Kael smiled grimly, ready for the next storm.